Never have I been more interested in seeing an artist's first week sales. What's up guys, my name is Judge Prime, the ITK, here again with another mixtape review, and today we're talking about Meek Mill's latest mixtape, DC4. Now, Meek Mill is a rapper from Philadelphia, and if there's one thing I have in common with him is that we both believe in chasing your dream. Meek Mill has turned this into a trademark and a sort of group. He's the leader of the Dream Chasers, and that's what DC stands for, in case you're completely unfamiliar with Meek Mill. So this mixtape has been hotly anticipated, perhaps the most anticipated project in hip-hop. Of course, Meek Mill was going through some rough times, catching a few L's, more than a few L's actually. So a lot of people have been eagerly anticipating this mixtape, and I think it'll do well. There is some concern for me because he did put this up on DatPiff, and it is up there to stream for free. I've seen so many people with so many illegal links out there, so I don't know. I think there is a lot of attention for this, partly or mainly because of the beef he went through last year. A lot of people saying that his career is dead. And personally, I think you can't tell with this tape because everybody was waiting for this tape and was looking to see what he's going to do with this tape. I guess his follow-up project will be where you can really say, okay, whether he's done or not. But let's not dabble in that too much. Let's actually go in and talk about this project. Going into this project itself, a brief overview, I would say that despite it being termed a street project or for the hood, I don't know how you could have a project that's for the hood and then still sell it. But with this project, what you're going to get is a lot of characteristic Meek Mill. You're going to be getting that same, heavy, hardcore, very charismatic flow. A lot of people say he's shouting. I don't think it's bordering on shouting, but it is very charismatic. It is very energetic, and that's what you'll be getting with this project. A lot of great beats on here, very gritty beats, very in your face, very loud beats. There are some times when the beats are a bit more subtle, a little bit more dark, and a little bit more sinister, but we'll get to that when we talk about the individual tracks. So with that, I will say that this is very safe, very traditional from Meek Mill. You're getting much of the same things on here. You're getting him talking about his success, even though he doesn't explicitly refer to his Rolex. He does talk about watches a bit on here, but he's not, like prior to maybe last year, he's not explicitly talking about his Rolex, but he is still talking about his lavish lifestyle. He is still talking about how people thought he was done, but he's still here talking about Nicki Minaj having the baddest bitch in the game and all of that, the traditional things you're used to with Meek Mill, which makes me wonder whether this project will do well outside of his traditional fan base. But going into the tracks, this project opens with the track On the Regular. Basically on this track you have grand production, there's heavy bass, and the clicking of a gun, gunshots, and he uses a flow that is reminiscent of Lil Uzi Vert, and then he talks basically about dope, escaping his cases. He talks about money, he talks about sex. He also has a few words we would presume would be meant for Drake. He says, I get your chain and it's 1-1, hit your main and your side piece. Moving on to the next track, Blessed Up, it's a nice beat. He talks about, it's outstanding that he's still standing, talking about how people had sort of counted him out, said, he's done, nothing's gonna come out of Meek Mill. And then he also talks about drugs, crime, talks about bitches, and he says, basically, again, a theme on this track is not needing to impress anyone, but just being yourself. The next track, Liddy, again, one of my favorite tracks on this project, very hard track. It features Tory Lanez, who I'm not particularly a fan of for various reasons, which I'll go on to a little bit. But, on this track, it's very hard. Love the production. On this track, though, Tory Lanez he bites Travis Scott sound, this auto-tune sound that is more, associated with Travis Scott. Somebody had said on Twitter, he's biting Travis Scott's sound, and he said, you can't bite someone that you've written for. And then I later found out that he indeed did write parts of Quintana Part 2 off of Travis Scott's Days Before Rodeo. Now, with that, I will say just because you write for someone doesn't mean you gave them their sound. Recently, Tory Lanez has sort of done this thing where he's sounding like so many people, which is why I can't really get into his music. But I will say his feature on here is dope. It would have been better, in my opinion, if it was Travis Scott. And on this track, again, why I don't like Tory Lanez is he has these, passive-aggressive bars at Drake, and then when it comes time to really back up your words, he's like, oh no, I have respect for Drake and blah blah blah. He says on here, he counted 250,000 with QM, blah blah blah, talking about Quentin Miller, basically. He also talks about, when bitches start lying on my dick, lie on that pussy I hit, can't even be a side bitch, I'm hitting 9s and 10s, you ain't even look like a 5. Basically talking about a lady who had come on Twitter to say that he has a rather small, Next track, Shine, and this sort of is an attempt to have a bit more depth on this project. The track, talks about Meek Mill's tough times. He also talks about, crime, and sort of gives a warning to younger people, talking about how they're building more prisons, don't get boxed into that boxing ring. And even though it is more sentimental, I have trouble really connecting with it because he kind of is still bragging about how much better his life is than most of us, which doesn't make me want to feel empathetic to you. It just makes me feel like you're, telling me your life is so much better than me. The next track, Froze, another one of my favorites on this project, featuring Lil Uzi Vert and Nicki Minaj. I'm not a huge fan of Lil Uzi Vert, but I will have to say this is one of his better features or tracks in my opinion. I loved his flow on this. He did a good job on the bridge and also on the hook as well. Nicki Minaj totally ruined this track for me. It was just appalling. Her verse was just bad, and then she tried to mimic Lil Uzi's flow on a bridge, and it was just atrocious in my opinion. Another hype track, a more traditional trap track. And Uzi did a good job. Meek did an okay job here. I think Uzi was the better of this. Another problem I would say I encountered with this project is that it is littered with so many features on here. I would have liked it for it to just be Meek Mill, have more of a project that's about Meek Mill, not just a project that's filled with so many features. The next track, The Difference, produced by Sony Digital, featuring Designer providing little ad-libs here and there, basically talking about the same thing here. Lights Out, he's taking shots at fake people. He's saying, they doing it for the internet. We're not really into that. The next track, Blue Notes, was an okay track for me. He didn't have that kind of soulful delivery that would have really made this a standout track in my opinion. Offended, featuring 21 Savage and Young Thug. Young Thug of recent has really been impressing me, right from about when I heard the song Hercules to his more recent project, which I also did a review of. Please be sure to check that out. But yeah, I enjoyed Young Thug or Jeffrey's feature on this track. Again, talking about, drugs and lavishness and money. Meek Mill kind of does this thing where he's using autotune at the beginning of his verse, which was a little bit weird. It didn't sound bad, but it was just a bit like, oh. And then 21 Savage talking about what 21 Savage talks about, violence and killing people and being a savage. The next track, kind of smoother track, a more gentle track, having, more R&B type feeling to it. Talking mostly about their relationship, obviously, Nicki Minaj and Meek Mill. And his singing is actually not bad. I did quite enjoy this track as well. Final two tracks, Tony Story 3 really illustrates Meek Mill's ability to tell a story. I did enjoy this track quite a bit. I would have liked to have seen more tracks actually like Tony Story 3, or tracks like his Ice Cream Freestyle, where he's talking about the prison industrial complex. He's talking about, you know, being institutionalized and how they're building prisons so don't make the beds up. Those are really, you know, substantive tracks. This track has a very lovely beat, more sinister beat. There's a little reverb here, more boom bap production, also little keys of the piano here and there. I liked this. And he also says part 4 will be a movie, literally. And then the final track, Outro, it was actually supposed to be called Mo Money, and it was supposed to be the intro to Dreams Worth More Than Money, but now it's the outro, and it's meant to be like a part 2 to his infamous intro track. And I enjoyed this. It did give me a flashback to Intro. I haven't heard Intro in a while. One of my favorite Meek Mill tracks again. So what I will say with this project is Meek Mill had come out, I think it was last year or earlier this year, to say, you know, he's not going to talk more about, you know, money and his lavish lifestyle and his Rolex and crime and all of that, but he was going to talk about more substantive things and deeper things. And I was a little bit disappointed listening to this and not really having that substance. It was just, you know, it felt like the things that you get when you listen to a Meek Mill record. Again, the very loud and energetic delivery, the very trappy, very upbeat, very, you know, gritty beats, and also, you know, talking about the same things. Those would be what really didn't do it for me, because if you listen to this, if you've listened to a number of Meek Mill projects, it gets boring. The good things are the beats are hard. I love the beats. He had some good features, obviously, in Jeffrey and also Uzi. And I think he brought his charisma to this. I will say that for this project, if you're a Meek Mill fan, this is essentially your dream. This is what you love from Meek Mill, and you're definitely going to enjoy this. If you are not a Meek Mill fan, if you are someone who doesn't like him talking about what he talks about, or the fact that he shouts over beats, you're not going to like this, and I would not recommend this for you. I will say that I enjoyed this quite a bit. Am I going to be listening to it cover to cover for a month from now? Probably not. There are songs that I will probably keep in my playlist. But yeah, it's an okay project. I'd give this a 6.5 out of 10. I would hope that with his next project, he would be able to give you a bit more versatility, a bit more substance, and less of the, you know, lavish lifestyle and Rolexes and Nicki Minaj and all of that he's talked about for so long. So those are just my thoughts on this project. If you're a Meek Mill fan, I would say please go out and buy this project, stream it, get your friends to buy it and stream it. I don't want to see Meek Mill fans angry if this doesn't do well, because a lot of people are trapping out the bando and not really supporting Meek Mill. If you want to see him succeed, stream it or buy it. All that counts. And yeah, I'd like to know what you think about this project. Did it convert you into being a Meek Mill fan? Do you think it's very good? Do you think it's mediocre? Let me know in the comments below. And I hope you check out some of my other reviews. My name is Judge Prime. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to leave a like. If you're new around here, why not click subscribe? I hope you have a blessed day, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.